Told you we'd be back for SmackDown this week, didn't I? It has literally just gone off the air. Lots of WrestleMania stuff has now been confirmed this week on SmackDown from Bologna, Italy. Bedlam in Bologna this week on SmackDown. But before we get to that, let's take a look at some contract news from the WWE, and it has now been confirmed and kind of confirmed on the TV as well, just a little while ago, that Rey Fenix has signed with the WWE and has been assigned to the SmackDown brand, which is opposite to the side, obviously, to Penta, who is currently on Raw. Now, rumor has it that they will eventually reunite as the Lucha Brothers, but to start with, they're going to be on separate shows. Now, remember, there will be a draft at some point, which will probably end up bringing them together as one. But for now, Rey Fenix will be on SmackDown. The other vignette that aired was another one that seemingly points to the return of the WWE of Malachi Black or Alistair Black, whatever you want to call him. And it kind of counted down from 4 to 3 on the promo. If you saw it last week, the promo had 4. It still had 4, but you saw a little image of 3. Now, rumor has it that he's due back on SmackDown the week after WrestleMania, which is the best way to do it. If you haven't got a feud ready for them, bring them up when you do, or debut them when you do. So it's good idea from the WWE to keep him away. But Rey Fenix, Malachi Black seemingly on their way back, all barring them showing up on WWE TV, which won't be too long. The Rey Fenix promo was a lot more obvious this week. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, you will, and you'll know exactly who it is. Right, let's get into SmackDown from Bologna, Italy. Another great European crowd. WWE have announced they'll be coming back to the UK, coincidentally around Forbidden Door, for shows leading up to Clash at Paris. The French pay-per-view they've got coming up in August as well. So they'll be in Birmingham, Newcastle, and some other areas. Birmingham getting a live Raw taping, I think, for the first time since I last went there for a Raw taping about 15 years ago. So really, really good to see that coming up. Questionable timing, but it is what it is. Anyway, now let's get into SmackDown. SmackDown started with the Viper, Randy Orton. We all heard voices in our head, and the Bologna crowd didn't disappoint by singing that song, which Randy Orton was absolutely milking. And so he should be milking a song from the crowd. But before he even gets to talk, the familiar track of Kevin Owens comes out, and Kevin decides that he wants to apologize to Randy Orton, and he said, Cody deserved what he got, Sami Zayn deserved what he got, but Randy Orton did not deserve what he got from him. So he apologized and wanted to go to WrestleMania with Randy Orton and become World Tag Team Champions. Suffice to say, Randy Orton, in no uncertain terms, told him to shove his apology up his arse. That was Randy's very, very words. And he said that basically that at WrestleMania, he's going to punt Kevin Owens' head off his shoulders and says he's a bitch, Owens bitch. And it has now been confirmed. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Following that promo, the match was confirmed. Yeah, for me, WrestleMania is no longer the big pay-per-view. I think there is, it used to be a pay-per-view full of dream matches. It now just feels like an elongated pay-per-view for 2 days. So I don't feel the grandeur, that special feeling anymore for me. WrestleMania, I don't know if it's the Undertaker streak or it's just for me personally. WrestleMania has just lost that specialness that it used to have. Randy Orton and Kevin Owens would be a great match, don't get me wrong, and I'm not slating that, but WrestleMania in general just doesn't feel the same for me anymore, personally. But nevertheless, Owens Orton, WrestleMania 41 confirmed. We then get some tag team action to kick off SmackDown this week. Damian Priest, Jimmy Uso. Notably, Jimmy Uso didn't get his entrance. Neither did. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jimmy Uso didn't get his entrance on the show. By the time the show come back of commercial break, Nakamura was coming out, and Drew McIntyre followed. The crowd were very much into Drew McIntyre on this show. On this, well, recently, to be honest, he does get booed when he does some certain things, but Drew McIntyre gets a lot of cheers, and he got a lot of cheers this week on SmackDown, and it was a fun tag match. Albeit the substance wasn't really there with Jimmy and Nakamura. This felt like just a way to continue the Priest McIntyre story, which has been going on for now for a couple of weeks and will probably culminate at WrestleMania. Um, Jimmy and Nakamura, to be honest, Nakamura, when his contract's up, should leave the WWE. I know that he's comfortable and I know that he's probably earned a lot of money, but I feel that I feel with Nakamura is they never pulled the trigger on him properly. They've never used him right. I remember one of the first conversations I had on this podcast with Parker about Nakamura, and I said that, and that was nearly 3 years ago. Was WWE using him correctly? And we're talking 3 years later, and he's been in the WWE for probably about 10 years now, Nakamura, and has really done absolutely nothing in that time. The moment he got called up from NXT, we all thought great, and he has just been really a victim of one of the simple thing that the victim of what the WWE always does with a lot of these NXT call ups, and they fail to deliver with them really. And if you look at what a lot of these NXT guys have done over the years, they've been really, really good in NXT, but the moment they get called up, and Nakamura is just one of those guys that just hasn't hit any notes. WWE just hasn't pulled the trigger on him when they should have done. And he's become a victim really of that, and victim of the WWE's just they don't seem to have a clue what to do with him. I thought when they done the whole thing with Cody, we never thought he was going to beat Cody, but there was times a couple over the last couple of years where you thought that they're getting him right, they're doing it right, and he's just been lost for many, many years in the WWE. And in my opinion, when that contract is up, he's another one. I'm not saying AEW, although I think he would fit in well there. Japan, go back to Japan, do something. Because not that his career is going to be tarnished, but for the last so many years, he's just really, I just feel for him because he's so much better than what WWE ever let on. And my opinion is when his contract's up, go spend 3 or 4 years in Japan or AEW, get your championship that you richly deserve, and go out on a high. As for Jimmy Uso, I mean, it's a difficult one because Jay's also suffering despite being in the main event of WrestleMania against Gunther. He's also struggling, and I think that within 6 to 8 months, I can say by the end of the year, I could probably see the Usos being back together as a tag team because I think has the singles run worked? I mean, Jey Uso's over. There's no doubt. The crowd are over on him when he's there. The Yeet in, they're doing everything like that. But is he a singles wrestler? And I think what has really been shown here is that he's probably not. And Jimmy's the same. I don't see a lot in Jimmy Uso that really tells me that he's a singles guy. I think both of them have been a tag team for too long. Maybe the split happened too late. I don't know. But for me, Uso's over with the crowd. Jey Uso's over with the crowd. But for me, he's just not. I don't personally think he's world championship material. And that's, is he, I think he was Intercontinental champion for a bit. But no, I don't see it. I think they need to put the Usos back together again because it it's not working in a lot of ways for both of them. Um, and Jey Uso's just been forgotten about. But this match in particular was a fun way to start the show. Priest and Jimmy won the South of Heaven choke slam on Nakamura, who eats the pin. And to be honest, it was always going to be Nakamura or Jimmy Uso eating the pin on this because the other two have plans at the moment for WrestleMania, whereas Jimmy and Nakamura will probably be in the fucking Andre the Giant Battle Royal or something that they do. But after the match, Drew McIntyre annihilated Damian Priest, hit him with a great Claymore as well. And Priest sold that so well. He was like he was in having a seizure with his hands at the end of it. So he really did sell that well. McIntyre not very happy, obviously losing. Later on in the show, he did have a little promo where basically he said that he would see Damian Priest next week in London before Seth Rollins showed up, and they had a little bit of a face off before the last segment of the show, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, Priest and McIntyre is seemingly the way they're going for WrestleMania, and again, I don't know anymore. As I said, to me, WrestleMania has lost that spark for me. Maybe it's just old age. I don't know. Maybe it's two nights. I really don't know. But for me, WrestleMania just isn't hitting right in a lot of ways. There's a couple of maybe two matches at the moment that I'm thinking, yeah, I want to see that, but the rest couldn't give a shit. To be quite honest with you, it's going to sound like a really bad show, this, but I'm only just giving you an opinion, right? And my opinion really doesn't matter. Um, but we'll see. We'll see WrestleMania. Always, sometimes. Listen, with Mania, it kind of always delivers. So let's just leave it at that. Now we go backstage at this point, and Braun Strowman is, of course, lifting weights. Of course he is. Ahead of his match with Jacob Fatu, LA Knight walks up, and Braun Strowman basically says, "Well, Nick Aldis has told him that the winner of the Braun Strowman Jacob Fatu match is the number one contender for the US title and gets that opportunity next week in London." So that was how that ended. We now come to a segment between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and it was a rough segment. They were just doing those split screen UFC style. You know, the Riddle and Seth done it once, and it was really good when them two done it actually because there was legit animosity between them. Um, this was just like two girls arguing in the street over a boyfriend. One was talking over the other. Charlotte Flair really did cook Tiffany, though, in this, and basically saying that everybody wants to be me, so you're nothing special with your little blonde hair and all of that sort of stuff. And, you know, you're just another version, another rip-off of me, basically, is what Charlotte Flair was saying. And, you know, they're going to go to WrestleMania, and it's an interesting one because Tiffany should win it. Tiffany should win the match at WrestleMania. And I think after that promo where she was pretty, as I said, she was pretty cooked by Charlotte on that vote promo. Pretty much Charlotte showing her maybe her experience in the big match kind of thing that she knows. I mean, her dad was a king of promos. Ric Flair was awesome as a promo. But again, I mean, is that really a dream match? I mean, I know Tiffany does get comparisons to Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair alluded to it. You know, you blonde and you do a moonsault, you're instantly Charlotte Flair. That's basically what she said. But is it a match that I really, you know, I want to be like, oh, I need to see that? No, it really isn't. It will deliver. I've no doubt the match will be fine and it will probably be really great. But am I going to buy a ticket to watch Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton? And the answer to that question is a resounding no. Again, I just thought the promo was really rough. Like I said, it was like two schoolgirls arguing over a boyfriend, one talking over the other. And it really, for me, a promo needs to be sold by hearing what the other person's got to say because you've got to believe what they say, right? One of the best promos in the world, CM Punk and Eddie Kingston's another one. When Eddie Kingston talks, you can tell it's coming from the heart, or it certainly feels like it's coming from the heart, and he means absolutely every word he says. These two were just having a bitch off, and it was just like, I really couldn't care less at this point because I can't hear what you're saying because the other one's talking over you. So yeah, I was disappointed with it. But Charlotte, when she did talk and Tiffany shut up, she did cook Tiffany Stratton a little bit on that one. But yeah, for me, it was just a noisy promo full of noise, really, and didn't really do either one any favors, in my opinion, anyway. But we move on to Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. The crowd loved Jacob Fatu, by the way. They were chanting him throughout a whole of this match. I would say that for two big men, I felt the match was a little long. Like Strowman was blowing near the end of this match. I mean, obviously he's a big guy, so the stamina and conditioning and all of that sort of stuff. He was really blowing at the end of this match. I felt as I said, I felt as if it was too long. Normally with these two, it's a shortish kind of match, but there's lots of big elements, like lots of big moves to it. So there's that they do that power game quite a bit. It was a really kind of slower pace match. They quickened it up a little bit in areas, and there was the usual big moves every now and again, but you're just used to them just going at it 5 or 6 minutes, match over, or something big happens, and that was it. But they went very light. It felt as if they went long. I mean, I don't know how long the match was. I didn't time it, but it felt as if it was a long match. And to be honest, all the matches were quite long on SmackDown this week. Wait, as I said, at least they felt long. Watching it, I don't know if it's because it wasn't that much of a great SmackDown, and the European crowd just made it better than what it was. Um, but yeah, it felt long. It should have been shorter, more impactful with the two guys that are in the ring. When Braun Strowman looked like he had the match won, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga come in the ring to attack Braun. It caused the DQ. Now, interesting enough, when Tama Tonga come in, because Braun Strowman threw him in, the ref didn't call for the DQ. He did call from the DQ when Solo Sikoa attacked Braun Strowman. Now, there is a reason why I mention that in a minute, and we'll get to it. Jacob Fatu at this point's pissed because they've cost him the match. They've cost him the number one contendership. But they still, all three of them end up still ganging up on Strowman. The familiar music of LA Knight hit. He runs out, kind of makes the save in a way. There was a bit of a move when he tried to, I think, send Tama Tonga over the top rope. It didn't quite work out. And anyway, they did clear the ring eventually. And then uh, LA Knight and Braun Strowman had a face off ready for next week. Obviously, their match is next week in London. Am I looking forward to that? Not particularly. But what I am looking forward to is what's going on with Jacob Fatu. Now, what happened at the end of it was they went out the back, and Fatu's throwing things around. He's pissed off. He's going crazy. And him and Solo have a massive argument. And basically, Fatu said, just leave, stay out of my way. And he walks away. So are we looking at a Jacob Fatu Solo Sikoa match potentially at WrestleMania? Now that's an interesting-ish match to see where that goes. Jacob Fatu is an absolute superstar, to be honest with you. I don't think this match done him too many favors. He was impressive, but I don't think he was done too many favors just because of the fact as I said, I think it went too long. And in those type of matches, you are looking for those big, impactful, quick 6 minute, big, big strong moves, big impactful moves. Normally tables go through or something or other. Didn't happen this week. They actually tried to have a match. I know that sounds ridiculous when they're a wrestling match, right? But they actually tried to do like what I would say a generic wrestling match, and it just didn't work between the two. It was better when they quickened things up, when they had those impactful moves. But Strowman wins, and next week goes against LA Knight in London. He's not going to win the United States Championship next week. Let's be real about that. But again, a match that really I don't really care about, to be quite honest. Nick, I mean, it's not WrestleMania next week. Obviously, it's in London, but you get the point, right? Yeah, not the best of matches really for next week. I don't think they're going to have the great chemistry together in the ring, to be quite honest. And that kind of leads me to the next match. First things first, I got to say, Zelina Vega, whoever the fuck made your new theme song needs firing. It is awful. Absolutely. This is Death Rebel. WWE need to rehire Jim Johnson back, because I'm telling you now, some of these songs that we've been getting are dreadful, and Selena Vega's new the crowd were dead. Like, and compared to the crowd have been alive, the European crowd, you know what it's like, and these Italians were loud as anything. But they were like, they were thinking this was like somebody new. Like, who the hell's this? It was dreadful, utterly dreadful for Selena, and it's a real shame because she is a hard worker, but that theme is ridiculous. Now she was taken on Piper Niven from the Chelsea Green regime or regime, it is a regime, yeah. And obviously Alba Fire was there. But these two didn't have the chemistry in my view in the ring. And again, another match that went, I think, quite long. Again, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like it went long. They didn't have the chemistry. I don't think it was the best opponent for Selena Vega because I don't know. I think Selena does better against like a Liv Morgan, even Rhea. Actually, she does well against Rhea Ripley, to be fair. But I just think Piper was too big for her, and it just didn't work between the two. Yeah, it just felt off, and she was trying to keep doing the code red, and you were never going to do the code red on Piper Niven. And every time there was a bit of momentum, Piper would knock her down, and yeah, it was going that way. But it was a miss for me for these two, and it's a shame because Selena Vega, I think, could have well been the person that takes the United States Championship off of Chelsea Green. And obviously Chelsea and Alba at ringside, and it was a distraction that caused Selena to lose this match actually via a big crossbody from Piper Niven. And when Piper Niven does an impact move, she does an impact move. So I credit that. But for me, the match was off, the chemistry was off. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately, in this one. And another thing is, where's Nia Jax? Is she on Raw now? I don't know where Nia Jax is. It's been a while since we've seen her. That's the reason why I asked the question. No relevance to the match whatsoever. But she was on all the adverts, and there were plenty of that. And that Netflix song in my head is never going to go away now. Thanks, Netflix. I hate it, and it's almost as bad as Selena Vega's theme. Whew, for that. But anyway, Piper Niven picks up the victory. I was surprised because I felt as if Selena Vega was going to win it with a roll up or something like that, because it seems as if Selena Vega was going to try and get an opportunity at Chelsea Green. It's a lot like the Ivy Nile situation on Raw, um, with Selena. And I felt like she was going to go through to get to Chelsea, maybe at WrestleMania. She was going to go through Alba Fire. She was going to go through Piper Niven to get to Chelsea Green. And now she's lost to Piper Niven. It kind of she makes her irrelevant now. I don't think you can really now put her in that picture. But then who does go in that picture? And that's a problem for me because it made sense for Selena to do it, but I don't know. Maybe next week something will happen. But for me, the match was off, didn't work at all. But now we get to a women's match that did work and worked very well. Liv Morgan, Jade Cargill, Jade first match back since the injury, or whatever. There was apparently some backstage issues between her and Shayna Baszler, so I don't quite know if it was an injury, if it was a result of that, if it was a bit of both. But these two worked perfectly, and I think what this match proved to me, and again, this is going back to when I first started on this podcast. I said to Parker and Andy that I didn't think Liv Morgan was, world championship material. Well, fast forward 3 years, and she is proven in this match alone why she's one of the best right now, because she made Jade Cargill look like $1 million in this. B, she was the one controlling the match in the ring, like a ring general, like someone, like you would see The Undertaker do, and people like Liv Morgan was doing that in this match. And it was, she has come on so well. The character fits with her well as well. And, everything that Liv does right now turns to gold. And she really is one of the best to do it right now, anyway, in the WWE. And her improvement over those last 3 years has gone from someone that, she was a champion, but I just couldn't take her seriously, to now saying, hang on a minute here, she is one of the best. And she pulled Jade Cargill into that match and made her work. in this match. Now, the only I think the only bit of questionable booking here was that Jade Cargill actually lost her first match back to Liv Morgan. There was a bit of interference from Naomi in this that caused a distraction so that Jade turned around into the Oblivion and got the win, and then Naomi come in and attacked Jade Cargill after the match. But I just thought that like that's the wrong way of doing it. Have Naomi come out and beat up Jade Cargill once she's won the match, or another DQ. I know we had a DQ earlier on, but I don't know. Jade Cargill getting clean pinned on SmackDown by Liv Morgan. It's obviously a big win for Liv, but I don't think that booking was right. If you where you're going with this is Jade and Naomi again, probably at WrestleMania, right? But to have Liv cleanly pin her like that on her first match back, I don't agree with that at all. But nevertheless, Liv did prove in this match how good she really is. So kudos to Liv, but questionable booking decision there by the WWE on that one. I mentioned earlier on that Drew and Seth had a little face off. Drew said that he would see Priest next week as he was walking up. Out come Papa Smurf, if you'll know what I mean when you see what Seth Rollins is wearing on this. They had a little face off. Seth just walked as if he was coming to the ring. He wasn't at that time, though. Now come another team with a new theme. This was the main event in terms of match-wise on SmackDown. It was another team with a new theme, and that's the Street Profits. What struck me about the Street Profits theme, it actually wasn't that bad, to be fair. It was a lot better than fucking Selena's. What I would say about the Profits theme was it felt a little bit heelish, like there was a heel turn in the works. And even during their little promo that they done in the ring, there was hints, little hints there that perhaps they were. I thought they were going to come out and turn heel. This is when they had the promo, and yes, they were tagging the fans and doing the hey hey and all this sort of shit. But I thought they were going to get in the ring and say something, and then bang, that the heel turn was in. Because everything they're wearing black, they're wearing all black. It just looked like it was going to happen. It didn't. And Legado, get it words out. Legado del Fantasma come in the ring, cut off the promo, and then Pretty Deadly come out because Pretty Deadly are the number one contenders, but they didn't have their match. It was set up with Legado del Fantasma or Los Garza at the Hum bloody Brillo, whatever his fucking name is, and Angel Garza had a match. And then now, here's the difference, right, between this. If this tag team match had happened on American soil, and this isn't a disrespect to you Americans, but if this tag team match was your main event on SmackDown or happened on SmackDown at any point in the card, you would hear crickets. You really would. You would have done. And that's not a disrespect to you guys. It is you would. The European crowd were loud through this. The match was actually really good. Two teams, two great chemistry between the two. You can see how much Dawkins has improved, obviously with Natty and TJ in the dungeon doing the bits that he's doing. Montez Ford is an absolute star. He's got to get a singles run soon because he is unbelievably great. Los Garza in this one, though, really, you don't sleep on those two. I know that you probably, the WWE probably won't do much with them too, but I tell you, they are far better than what you see, and they are very, very good in this. Really, really enjoyed watching those two in the ring. Very, very good. Street Profits picked up the win with some amazing height on a frog splash that they do. You know what the Street Profits will give you. Incredible from those two, to be quite honest with you. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing the Street Profits as tag champions. I do want them to turn heel, though. I know they started it with Bobby Lashley. It didn't quite work. The signs were there this week that it was happening. It didn't. At least for now. But next week on SmackDown in the UK, Pretty Deadly once again get the title shot. Now, if I remember rightly, before Money in the Bank a couple of years ago, the SmackDown before that, they had their title shot against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and a lot of people thought they were going to win it then. I don't see them winning it next week. DIY actually was trying to do a deal with them to say, hey, look, we come out and help you win a title, give us the first shot. And they were like, no, boy. And then as Pretty Deadly, as DIY turned around, the guns were behind the Motor City Machine Guns. So maybe that's setting up for next week as well. I don't know. Um, but the Street Profits potentially there was a little bit of heelness about them. So we'll see what happens. But a really good tag match to main event SmackDown. But it wasn't the last piece. As we all know, SmackDown was being centered around the OTC Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. Roman Reigns comes out, gets the crowd to acknowledge him, says he's going to be here for 15, 20 minutes for anyone that wants to confront him. He mentioned about Punk, about how Punk screwed him at the Royal Rumble, and about how he screwed Punk at the Raw, and how Seth Rollins tried to kill him at the Royal Rumble. So he tried to kill Seth Rollins last week on Raw. Out comes Papa Smurf, aka Seth Rollins. And basically made a great point. He said, there's no me without you, and there's no you without me. And he was indicating that those two were going to go to WrestleMania. Cue CM Punk. CM Punk comes out looking like he just woke up, to be quite honest, and watching this SmackDown, I'm not surprised. He probably did. But anyway, and he got onto the top rope, and for a minute, he said about the favor to Heyman, and Paul Wade was like, now? And he was like, no, not now. I was like, whew, because I was thinking the favor was to get him into the WrestleMania match, but he didn't need to do that, thankfully. He did say that you thank you for basically bringing Roman Reigns to my lap, which got a surprised look from Roman. He turned to Paul Heyman. As he done that, Punk has hit him with the microphone. All three of these two were fighting, and all three of them ended up pointing to the WrestleMania sign at different points of the brawl. Everyone was coming out. We had a security guard that come out, looked like he had Botox and his eyebrows all painted up himself and whatever else. But it ended up with Roman Reigns hitting them both with the steel stairs, Roman Reigns pointing to the WrestleMania sign, and that is how SmackDown finished up this week. So I'm expecting more from those three next week, probably another brawl, probably one of Seth Rollins getting the upper hand, and then it will happen again a week later and CM Punk will get the upper hand. But Punk made a point that these two haven't beaten him one-on-one. They've beaten him together, kind of thing, but they've never beaten him singly. So that finishes up SmackDown this week. It was pretty shit, to be honest with you. I mean, the crowd made it better. Some of the matches were good. Some of the matches didn't hit it off. The Tiffany Charlotte promo was not good at all. Lots of work to do. SmackDown 3 hours just isn't working for me. It's not. Do what they do, 2.5 hour Raws, 2.5 hour SmackDowns maybe, but not 3 hours. It's just not hitting those notes, and it certainly wasn't a great one this week. Next week it's in London. Lots of tickets still available, by the way. And if you want to pay £230 to sit on a seat, then go right ahead. I wouldn't, and although I am going just in a different seat. But yeah. Anyway, that was SmackDown this week. Keep it locked on this channel, though, because there's more coming. TNA review will be out tomorrow morning for everyone. We've got some interviews coming up this week. Recording with a very special guest, hopefully on Tuesday. I will announce it once it's been recorded, just because there could be some timing delays and it may or may not happen. So wait until next Tuesday, see if it happens, and I'll let you know who once we've finished recording. We'll keep it locked. HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. And until tomorrow, everyone. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.